Hi, Nick Park here from Evangelical Alliance Ireland, and welcome once again to our weekly message. It's Friday, but Sunday's coming. And I'm delighted to have with me today Jonathan Shaw from YMD, that's Youth Ministry Development.
That's right.
Yeah. So, Jonathan, welcome to the Friday interview.
Thanks, Nick.
And this is a fly in the wall because I meet interesting people, I get to hear about stuff that's happening, and I just want more people to know about what's going on. So we're going to forget that there's a camera there. And Jonathan, just tell me, how did you get involved in youth ministry in the first place?
So initially, years ago, I was a volunteer with Dublin Christian Mission Youth. Then after that, I volunteered in places like Scripture Union, helping on camps. And just after getting married, I did a course that helped me see that by having a clearer purpose in youth ministry and focusing on discipleship, that youth ministry could develop and grow, that we could invest in the lives of young people, probably in similar ways that we were already doing, but now with a clearer purpose that we could then sort of plan and sort of think about how to do this better based on those purposes.
Okay, so how many years have you been involved in youth ministry now?
I've been involved in youth ministry for about 35 years.
Yeah. And I know you did youth ministry in Grosvenor Baptist for
That's correct.
quite a while.
Yeah, so I trained as a primary school teacher and I taught for 11 years, took a career break for 2 years to do youth ministry in Grosvenor Baptist Church. That turned into 16 years, and from that developed YMD Youth Ministry Development, which started in 2019.
Okay, just before the pandemic.
Just before the pandemic, which obviously took us by surprise, didn't take God by surprise, but it did change how we did things in the first year or two, for sure. So
when we make these videos, I mean, there's obviously church leaders and people who have influence over their church leaders and stuff like that. So what I would really like is that they could get an idea of what it is you're actually doing and how that can, how can you partner with a local church, for example, to enhance their youth ministry or even help them start up a youth ministry?
Yeah, for sure. So YMD's purpose is to come alongside local churches to help them develop ministry to young people. And so we do that by going to where people are, listening carefully. You could call it a consultancy, but it's free of charge.
Right.
We
like free.
Yeah, well, listening to what people are wanting to do, helping them to think through that, and then providing training and ongoing support for that. And so we travel to where people are, anywhere in the Republic of Ireland, and we listen carefully to what it is that people really want for the young people in their churches. We want to encourage people in what they're doing. We want to train them so they can do what they're doing better.
Yeah.
We want to support them then while they do that, support them on an ongoing basis, and we do that all, as I say, free of charge.
Right.
And so we'll come to where you are. So we've been down to Skibbereen, we've been over to Mayo, down to Wexford, across to Galway, into the Midlands. We will go to where you are. It won't cost you anything. We'll come and we listen, and what we want is for your church to be strengthened. And to help you to invest in the young people that God has put under your care, so that they know that they belong, they feel they belong, so that their parents know that there's a place for them to come, and so that they grow up to hear the truth about Jesus, to get to love him and to become followers of Jesus right through their teenage years and on into the rest of their lives.
And this is not just about like techniques that youth leaders need to know or that kind of thing, because actually, I mean, we were talking earlier, and the underpinning reason why you have a youth ministry and everything else, that needs to be something that a church is really aware of, doesn't it? If you have a youth leader that has one vision and a pastor that has another vision, then that's a recipe for disaster.
Yeah, and one of the things that we will do with a group from a church or at a training session is to talk about the purpose and the foundations of youth ministry, so that everyone's on the same page, so that you don't have those mismatches of expectations or purpose, so that a team can work together with the support of the local church. And in many ways, ministry to young people in its purpose and definition is not too different to ministry to anyone else, except that the specific focus is to young people. And Jesus said, as we go into the world, to make disciples of all people. And so how do we do that with young people? How do we help young people to come to know Christ and to be discipled?
Now, we're in a place, of course, in the church in Ireland where there are so many new churches starting up, and it's tremendously exciting. And some of them seem to be able to set up youth ministries quite almost effortlessly. I'm sure it's not, but it looks almost effortless. And there's others who've really struggled to get youth ministry going in their churches. I mean, are you able to get alongside them and help them with that?
Yeah, it's one of the things that we love to do is to help churches start a youth ministry from the very scratch, from the start. And so back just last year, I met with a pastor and a volunteer in a church down at the south coast, and they didn't have a youth ministry at all.
Yeah.
We met one evening, we just chatted about what they would really love to have. We talked about the foundation principles, all of that. Then they organised a training day for some volunteers. So we went and we provided some training for them. They invited in another church and we did some training together. Then after that, they set up a youth group. This was the youth group just starting in the church. It was so lovely to see that happening. And now we provide ongoing support for them in that.
Yeah. Now, of course, another thing I think there's a big development among evangelical churches in Ireland is the regulation that we all deal with has got much greater. I mean, it's like we were flying under the radar for so long because I don't think the authorities really knew what to make of us and just let you get on with it. And in every area, I mean, it's not just youth and children, but fire regulations and planning and all of this stuff, we're having to tighten up on a lot of things in churches. And I guess that's particularly true with working with young people, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%. It absolutely is. And the first thing I'd say about regulations is there are legal requirements, but they're not something to fear.
Yeah.
And sometimes when people hear about, you have to do guard vetting, you have to have a safeguarding policy, people can almost be so afraid that they do nothing or that they don't do any ministry to young people because there's too many regulations. There are not too many regulations, and TUSLA have a great support for churches and youth groups, and they will provide that support to them to help people put their safeguarding policies in place. But it's such an important thing that we as Christians show God's love to young people in a way that would honour Christ.
Yeah.
And so for us to be ahead of the game, for us to be properly trained, for us to have those safeguarding things in place, and to make sure that we are doing our very best to make sure that the young people under our care are well cared for in a safe and nurturing environment.
Yeah, I know myself in one of my leadership roles, I had to deal with a situation where an allegation was made against a youth worker, and now it all turned out it was it was unfounded, but dealing with it at the time was tremendously difficult and stressful, and I was just so glad that we had the policies and stuff, because if I'd been trying to wing that, I think it would have destroyed me.
Absolutely. And like in Ireland for so many years, the way we look at lots of things is, sure, it'll be grand. When it comes to safeguarding and policies in place around children and vulnerable adults, it won't be grand.
No,
as you said,
they're dangerous words in ministry, to be honest.
You have got to have those things in place. But again, there are templates available. There is help available to put those things in place. There's training available so that you can do this in your church. So it's not a preventative, but it's a safeguard.
Okay. Well, look, if there's churches, ministries there that would like to know more about YMD and what it is that you're doing, best way to contact you, I presume, through the website, is it?
Yeah, if you go to our website, ymd.ie.
Okay,
and
it's on the bottom of the screen. What?
Great, and then you can contact us there. My phone number is there. You can get in touch via WhatsApp, via email, or just fill in the form on the website, and then we will get straight back. in touch with you.
That's brilliant. Look, thanks so much for coming in.
And thank you, Nick, for the opportunity. And I'm delighted for this opportunity to say that for churches in Ireland, this is a free service. Yeah. So this isn't going to fill our bank account, but hopefully it will help you fill your churches with young people who are learning about Christ and learning how to follow him.
And if there do happen to be one or two people watching or listening that have deep pockets and think, wow, that sounds really brilliant. Now, it's a free service, but you wouldn't refuse donations if somebody said, I want to invest into this.
YMD is completely donor supported. And so there are partners who may be in local churches, individuals. There are some churches that do donate to YMD. They're in a place to do that. But we want also the message to go loud and clear that that's not a requirement. And so you'll never hear us ask for that. But where people are able, and trusts or other bodies that are able to contribute to YMD, that just enables our reach to go further.
Yeah. So if anyone there is in that situation where you're thinking, gosh, I want to invest in the next generation, get in touch.
Great.
YMD.ie.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay.
Thank you, Dick.
Look, Jonathan, thank you so much for joining us, and invite all of you that are watching or listening, if you're listening to this on radio, if you join us again next week, next Friday, we'll be back for another episode of It's Friday, but Sunday's coming. So until then, God bless you in Jesus' name.